Hello everyone and welcome back. I have an exciting update to share with you. It's an update on a video that I made about 5 months ago now, telling you that I'd made my first $500 on KDP. Well, I am back and I am happy to tell you that I have now made my first $1,000 on KDP. So in this video, I want to share with you what's happened and also talk you through some of the things that I've been improving in my KDP business and tell you briefly at the end the kind of direction that I'm going in moving forward. If you're interested in KDP or just making money online from a variety of different sources, then give me a subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you really like this video, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I have some notes written down in front of me that I will keep referring to just to make sure that I give you all the information that I think you might want. For some detailed information about my KDP setup, if you go to my playlists and you click on the KDP income reports, quite often in those I break down for you the types of book that I'm making, the percentage of my books that are notebooks and are colouring books, etc. You'll probably find that a lot of your questions are answered in those income reports. If you've watched the income reports though, and this video, and you still have some questions, then by all means leave them in the comments section below. Let's just recap on where we got to last time. So it took me about 12 months to get my first $500. I really only started uploading properly in October 2021. I think I'd put one book on there a few months earlier, but hadn't really done anything. To find out more about that, watch the kind of the prequel video to this one. And it took me until October of 2022 to get that kind of lifetime earnings up to $500. I'm recording this in April at the moment, but I actually hit the $1,000 lifetime earnings mark at some point in March. And I can't remember exactly the right date, but I know it was in March, and it was in the midst of, I did this kind of vlogging challenge that you'll see on my channel as well, where I was vlogging every single day because I was desperately trying to earn enough money to pay my bills in March. It was during all of that I hit the 1K mark on KDP. So it took me 12 months to get to my first $500, and then my second $500 took me 5 months. So my challenge going forward is going to be, can I get my next $500 in less than 5 months? And I will report back to you as soon as that happens. If you want to see that video, then make sure you are subscribed. Now, let's get down to the business of what do I think has made the difference, and why did I make that second $500 a lot faster than the first $500? Especially as I unpublished quite a lot of my books. Again, there's more info about that in my income reports, and kind of had to replace a lot of those unpublished books with some newer books. Probably none of this information is particularly new, but these are the things that I did that have made some big improvements to what I'm doing. So number one is I've stopped creating books for a fantasy audience. I have got a lot better, I'm not perfect at this, but I have got a lot better at checking that there is demand for the books that I'm creating. Because I enjoy the creation process so much, and because I am an avid book reader and stationery user, and I do like to do a bit of crafting as well, I kind of have been imagining what I think it is that people want. And I have been creating, I think, some really attractive notebooks and some really attractive colouring books and some really lovely things, but I wasn't really checking whether anyone wanted them or not, whether anyone was searching for them or not. That has meant that quite a lot of my books have sold a handful of copies, but then haven't really taken off and haven't really grown beyond that. And obviously I have got my fair share that have never sold at all. I haven't got to the point where I'm deep diving into what people are looking for, but I have got to the point where I'm doing what I would consider to be a light to medium check to make sure that there is demand for something, or I'll check what people are looking for first and then go and make a book that's suitable for what those people are looking for. I have just started experimenting with a business tool that helps you to find what people are searching for on Amazon and what the most popular books are and so on. I have only just started using it, but if I find that that's really helpful and makes an impact on my business, then I will share that with you all as well. But during the period of time that we're talking about, that was basically a lot of bootstrapping and just seeing what comes up on Amazon itself, where it shows you what people are searching for. Now, there are some slight exceptions to this. So I think if there's something that you want to make for yourself, that's absolutely fine, go and make it. If you have a real sort of passion project in mind and it's going to bring you a lot of joy, then go and make it, as long as you understand that possibly nobody's going to buy it in the end. And actually, one of the books that I made for somebody else, I made a daily task list and I themed the cover around the hobby that the person had. I obviously ordered an author copy for the gift for that person, and it's gone on to sell 2 or 3 copies a year ever since I uploaded it. Now, that's not huge, but it does go to show that sometimes when you upload something that's just for you or just for someone else that you know, you can get some sales from it. But as a general rule of thumb, I wouldn't get into the habit of doing that too much. The other exception to this is if you have an established audience already somewhere that you are selling to. So if you've built up a mailing list, if you have a YouTube channel or an Instagram account, and you are making something specific to that audience. Another example of this is, hopefully I will be developing a mailing list for my scrapbook paper pads that I make. And what would be lovely is if I release a collection of scrapbook paper pads and I release it to that mailing list, I will get some sales because I've already established an audience that wants to buy from me. Those are some things that I think are exceptions, but at the stage that I am at, and that you may well be at if you've clicked on this video and you're really looking to make your first $500, first $1,000, I think at the stage that we're at, then I wouldn't do that. I would always look and make sure that people are looking for the books that you are creating. The other thing that I continued to do during the last 5 months was to branch out and experiment with different types of book. I was realizing that my colouring books weren't going that well and that I wasn't particularly enjoying making them, so I kind of stopped those. I realised that notebooks for me are a lovely thing to make to break up when I'm working on much more complicated books, but that really that's the only time that I'm willing to spend on them. I didn't want to kind of grow that any further. So I decided that I needed to experiment with something else, and I started experimenting with craft paper pads, and I have a whole video about how somehow a lot of the designs, most of the designs that I'm putting out there are actually selling to some extent or another. Now, if I hadn't experimented, if I hadn't moved on and tried something else, I would never have known that. So I wouldn't necessarily sit on a particular genre or a particular niche of book and keep working at it and keep working at it until you have absolutely perfected it. Try a variety of things and then decide what it is that you enjoy. Is there anything about those particular genres that is a good fit for you? Where are your sales coming from? Is there anything that you've made that you never want to make again? Take all of those things into consideration and continue to kind of push your boundaries, because you learn something new every time you create a different type of book. At the end of this video, I'm going to tell you the different types of book that I'm going to teach myself how to make moving forward this year. So if you want to know what areas I'm going to start moving into, then make sure you stay tuned until the end of the video. Tip number 3 then that I started to do was to really lean in to anything that works. And that could be the way my workflow is set up, it could be the way that I'm using Canva, it could be where I'm getting my graphics from, how I'm arranging them on the page. The biggest thing that I did though was that I added some different colorways of some of the scrapbook papers that were selling really well. So I had something like 4 or 5 scrapbooks that were starting to sell reasonably well, and I looked at them and I just thought, right, how can I create another one that's like this but that is different and would be worth someone buying again within that particular niche or that particular genre? And I decided that with about 4 or 5 of them, I could create the same type of book but in a different colorway, thus giving people a choice, also giving them the opportunity for a repeat purchase but just in a different color. The 4th thing that I have continued to do that I bang on about all the time is continue to improve your design skills. Just try and get a little bit better all the time. Train your eye for composition, for balance, for color palettes, for anything at all, for the styles that are in fashion at the moment. I would always suggest that you don't just look at other self-published books, that you actually go wider than that and you look at professionally published books from publishing houses that have employed either a team of graphic designers or at least 1 or 2 qualified graphic designers in there, and they are producing their best work for the publishers. And I think it gives you a much better idea of what great graphic design looks like. There are loads of YouTube tutorials. There are Instagram accounts with little tutorials and hacks and some basics about how to put a good design together. And it's not like you have to sit down and look at all of this stuff all the time, but regularly find something, look at some products that are professionally made, find a tutorial, do something that improves your design skills so that every time you're uploading a book, it's a tiny bit better than the last one you uploaded. My fifth point is, I'd say, much more of a mindset one than anything else, and that is just the best advice I think I was ever given about anything, which is just keep going, keep going, keep going. By all means, take a break if you need to, but make sure it's not for too long. It's just enough to kind of recover, to get your head in gear again, and then keep going. Pick up your tools again, have another go, find something to work on, something that you can improve, and just keep going. There have been times when I have been ready to quit. In fact, you know what? This month in April has been really bad for sales so far. And I've also noticed that there are some copycats out there that are almost copying some of my scrapbook paper books exactly, as in they are taking the words in the title and they're just flipping a couple of them around. I am still getting sales from my books, but it does make me wonder if those people are nabbing some sales as well. Now, instead of, sitting and crying about it, well, not literally crying, but, getting myself upset about it, I am even more determined to just keep going, to think to myself, well, do you know what? If other people are managing to get custom away from me and they're doing something that's similar to me, I just need to make sure that everything I put out there is the best it can be, better than everybody else's. I need to build an audience for these books. I need to build my mailing list so that I'm selling directly to people, so they won't get distracted by any copycat books that are out there. They will just click on a link and they will go straight to my books and buy them for me. So mindset is huge, and it's the thing that will keep you going when things are not going that well. And my sixth point, I think, again, would fit a little bit more into the mindset category. And this is something that I do, and it's something that I've noticed at least one other KDP YouTuber doing, which is to get really specific about what the money you are making from KDP means to you. What are you going to do with it to make it count, to make it matter in some way to your life? Now, from the outset, I have talked about this in my videos. I think in my first KDP income report, where I made about £10, so about $12, I was talking about how that could pay for, a sandwich and a drink out somewhere. When it's a bit more than that, that could be me and my mum going to a cafe and having lunch together. I'm starting to average about £50, so about $60-ish a month. And suddenly that's paying for a bill, that's paying for my mobile phone bill, and then there's some left over, so it could pay for my mobile phone bill. It could give me, enough for a lunch out somewhere, a working lunch where I take my iPad and I go and do some KDP work. Let me just name drop the other YouTuber that I know does this. If you go to Taylor Haselton's channel, you will see one of her videos. I'll try and link it in the description box below. One of her videos talks about how her KDP money now covers her car payment. And I think she's at the point where she's now covering, or can cover more than her car payment with the income that she is getting. So if you make what you are already getting count for something and mean something important to you, then that can help keep you motivated to keep going when maybe you aren't making the progress that you really, really hoped for. Now, in terms of the future of my KDP, if you watch my latest income report, there's some information about my goals kind of moving forward for Q2 of this year at the end of that video. I have also started making monthly goals videos as well, and there will be details about my KDP goals and things in those too. But let me just run through from my list that I have on my notepad of the things that I have got coming up in 2023. So types of books I'm going to create and the sort of type of business that I'm going to try and create with KDP. So in the future, I want to dive into lots of free marketing and test some different things out. I'm looking at A+ content. That's something that I'm hoping to get done, or at least started this month. Pinterest marketing. I think I've uploaded about 5 or 6 pins so far, and according to my dashboard, I've had 3 clicks on them so far. So I think there's a lot for me to do in terms of Pinterest, but it's definitely something that I want to explore. I am looking at Instagram marketing, and also, like I mentioned before, setting up a mailing list for perhaps 1 or 2 of my pen names that I think have got the scope to kind of grow into more fully fledged businesses. I do also want to experiment with paid ads at some point. I think that could be maybe in May or June, and just test them out at a very low level and see what happens. And then in terms of the types of book that I'm going for, so I am obviously exploring kind of decorative paper books further and sort of adding to that particular collection. I also want to make a return to colouring books. I just don't think I did them very well. I've got about 5 or 6 on there. I'd say 2 of them sell the odd copy from time to time, and that's probably it really. So I want to kind of make a return to colouring books, and actually now that I am better at researching things, I want to do some research and then create maybe another half dozen colouring books and see if I can get some better results this time around. I also want to try out activity books and logbooks, which I haven't experimented with at all yet, so those will be brand new ones. I also want to generate some ideas for some high content books, and I remember mentioning this back in the day when I first started doing KDP. I am a crocheter, and one of the things that I would love to do is to produce a KDP crochet pattern book. It's going to be quite a lot of work. I'd have to make sure that my photography was absolutely superb, but it's an idea. It's something to possibly move forward with. I can at least get planning that in the next few months, and then maybe start putting the book together in time for Christmas would be really good. And then finally, I've spoken about this before and I've spoken about this in previous videos, developing a multifaceted decorative paper brand or business where there's actually lots of different elements to the business that are not just KDP, but digital downloads, surface pattern design onto fabric, and all sorts of other things, which there'll be more about in future videos. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I hope that you found this video valuable in some way, and if you have, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. Be warned though, it is not just a KDP channel. There are work from home vlogs on here. There are also some videos about personal finance, and there will be other videos about all the other different income streams that I am trying out. So thank you very much for hanging out with me for this video, and I will see you again soon.